Recording.
There you go. I'd like to call to order the January 21st, 2026 Communications Committee meeting. And if I could ask you to all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to our first order of business is the reorganization of the Communications Committee. First, we will look to elect a chairperson. Do I have a motion to nominate a chairperson?
I move to nominate Kevin Shelley as chair.
A second.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
Out of this vast audience.
Moved in second, is all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, congrats, Kevin. You're the chairperson for the 2026 Communications Committee. And I'll pass the meeting on to you.
Thank you, Grace, and thank you all again for putting your trust in me to chair this committee. But again, one thing I really love about this committee, and it truly is a team effort, and everybody's involvement is equally as important. So I really appreciate that. Starting off, do we have an election or a nominee for vice chairperson?
I nominate John Del Pizzo for vice chair.
We have John Del Pizzo. Was it
Pizzo.
Pizzo? John Del Pizzo. Thank you, sir. John Del Pizzo. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Rob, any other nominations? Okay, all in favor of John Del Pizzo being the next elect vice chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All right, John, congratulations. Thank you very much. And one thing I would like to say with that position is I think as we go into this year, we had some discussion that, it's truly, as we all are working together, I think it's in our best interest to maybe even, as if it's okay with you, as we talked about, to alternate. You can run one meeting, so next month you're welcome to run, following month, just so if in case of one absence, we're always ready to go. And I think that's a great way to lead this meeting, as long as the rest of the committee supports that idea as well.
Sounds good.
Very good. We also could use a secretary. Do we have any nominations for a secretary?
I nominate, sorry, Rob, I've got your last name, Bob Carlson for secretary.
Rob Carlson, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Any other nominations for secretary? All in favor of Rob Carlson being the secretary for the Communications Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you, Rob, and thank you, John, very much. Each of you did a great job last year, and I know you'll do the same this year. Thank you. Our next order of business is to call to approve the December 17th, 2025 minutes as posted. Everybody did get a copy. There was just one repeat word, Rob, that I circled there. Other than that, I have nothing else to add. If anybody has anything to add, any comments? All right. If not, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as posted? And the one correction is just for the record. What's as amended? Yes, as amended with, and that is, I think the
Is the date right?
second paragraph down, the word were. Is twice.
Was the date correct too?
December 17th.
The date for this meeting.
No.
Someplace I saw January 17th for this.
You are correct.
Very good. Okay, with the amended date
Amended.
and also the extra word, do we have any other corrections? All right, Rob, again, thank you for typing them up. But before we thank you as well, do we have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
John, a second?
Second.
Terry, all in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? All right, thank you. They are approved. Again, Rob, thank you very much for all your work on those minutes. We appreciate them as well. Our next order of business is to call for public discussion. That is for visitors as well as committee members. If any would like to share anything, I would like to introduce our junior supervisor, Thomas. What's your last name again?
Holloway.
Holloway. I thought it was, but I didn't want to gamble there. Thomas Holloway. We appreciate his presence here as he continues to learn more about the township. And please, if you have any questions or any contributions or suggestions as we move into the meeting, you're more than welcome to participate as well.
Okay, just like the first thing, can you give me like a 30-second rundown of what the committee does as a whole?
Absolutely. I actually have it's official, but to sum it up, I do have the official order. Here it is, the resolution. You're welcome to take a look at, but I can just tell you as well. I thought I was going to give you the official, which I will pass this over to you to take a look at if you can pass that down. But
Thank you.
our official order here is to make recommendations to kind of see what the township has, what the township currently has, and not so much improve it, but to better communications between residents and the township. For example, we look into, one of the first things we did is we were kind of looking at our newsletters, and we realized that some of our residential facilities were not receiving the newsletters. So just by going out to talk to them, we made sure, okay, now everybody's getting a newsletter. We were able to develop a resident portal so people can report things. We did some surveys, and we continue to explore ways. Another example too, and not to go too far off, but if the township has any special requests, one of the things on our agenda is this referendum that's coming up. And, so because we have a communication committee, what can we do to help with that there as well? So we want to help the township and at the same time help the residents in whatever way we can. And if anybody else wants to add anything to that, please feel free.
Basically, we develop different avenues of communication depending on the population.
Mhm.
Like younger generation more is on social media. So
Yeah.
it started social media.
Mhm.
We do newsletters, what else do? We do mailings, we do anything just to communicate what's going on in the township.
The quick reference guide has been something that we've learned just by interviewing and talking with other people. One of the residential facilities say that their number one request people get is, where's a swimming pool? Not realizing that we had one in the community. So, they wanted to say, and I think actually during that visit, the manager did not know we had a swimming pool in our community. So we had a quick reference guide that pretty much tells people moving in, okay, we can do Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, YMCA, all kind of things that will help get people more involved in the township as well.
All right.
And we don't necessarily execute these. I
No,
mean, we don't have
good
a
point.
budget. We don't execute these, right? But we make recommendations, right? In terms of, maybe the township should be doing this to better communicate with residents. Maybe the township should be doing text messaging. Maybe the township should be doing something else, right?
Right.
To better communicate. But, we don't have any budget in which to actually do these executions. And so ultimately it's up to the township whether they do anything that we suggest or not, right?
Mhm.
But
That's
kind of an
great.
advisory role.
I echo that point. as
All
well.
right. Thank you. Yeah, that does help a lot.
Absolutely.
I think just being here as a group encourages people to speak up about things that they might find confusing or like are not being well communicated, as opposed to thinking, oh, I'll just walk in there and tell them they're not doing it. You don't necessarily want to engage with the township and just send an email and be like, hey, you should do this better. But like, if a committee exists and everybody sees those actions happening and those improvements, then they might be urged to come along and say, hey, I've noticed this and I want to bring this up as well.
All right.
Well said. And I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad we discussed it, especially at the start of the year, a new year for anybody watching or curious what we do. It's good to get that out there as well.
So Thomas, what's your background? And what potentially might draw you to this kind of communication effort?
Yeah, so I go to Souderton High School, and I'm thinking about majoring in political science in college at like Penn State or Maryland or a school like that. And I thought this would be like a really helpful experience to see how local government works. And it would look good on the college application too. And it just seemed like the whole junior township supervisor thing seemed like a really good opportunity for that.
And so in the school environment, are there communication channels that you're involved in or at least aware of? I mean, the school probably has a newsletter, may have, some of them even have radio stations and things like that, or a website. I mean, are you aware of how the school communicates with its population and, potentially bring that knowledge, that understanding to how we try and communicate with our population?
Yeah, the school does have the newspaper, the Arrowhead, in which they publish stuff in. I think I don't know if you guys have done this before, like if you like ever like put township information like in the school newspaper, but I think that could potentially be helpful.
We do anything like that?
That's a
I
good
don't think we
idea.
have.
Mhm.
Have we? I don't believe so, you
It
know?
would be interesting to see if an editor, and I think Nadia, the other junior supervisor, is an Arrowhead editor, so maybe
Oh,
we're putting a piece together for those 18-year-olds that can vote in May. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
no, that's a great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
mhm. That's great, yeah.
And I'm glad John was asking, one thing we usually ask people who participate is we want to know how you get your information via the township. That's a great way to get it from school, which always leads to great ideas. Obviously, you're more involved than, a typical person your age. I grew up here and I knew I was in scouts and involved. Some of my other friends had no idea. However, so not everybody will be getting it the same way, but how do you get information, or how would you prefer to get information from the township? And that could be anything ranging. I don't want to put it in your head, but newsletter, text message, etc.
I think like seeing like new townships information on the Instagram helps. Because like I'll just be scrolling and then like I'll see that there's like something new going on. Or like a new event. And I think that could be helpful.
Instagram.
Mhm.
Okay.
How did you find out about the junior supervisor program?
I don't know. I think my dad was looking at the website and then he told me about it from there. So,
That was one thing we, as a committee, worked to do, was try to, how are we going to get that message out as well? So it's good to hear that. All right, well, again, thank you for being here. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it, and feel free to contribute as well.
Mhm.
All right. Any other thing for public discussion? Anybody share comments? Moving on. Recurring report items. Now, this is something Thomas is a little newer here, and what we do is try to have some consistent things that we can look at similarly to the way the board meetings work as well. So our township presence at events. Grace, could you update us? I know it's been the holiday, but how are things going with that?
I think I was able to update you all since the last holiday market.
I think so.
Otherwise, there's no new news there.
Very,
We're excited for the May market because I know it's going to be early May, so we'll be able to have one more presence there before the primary.
thank you. And that will be the next market, won't be till May, Tuesday, what? Okay. Thank you. Newsletter and email updates. Again, and thank you, Grace, for being our liaison in this year as well as we go into this. I know we didn't nominate you and you're here, but we appreciate that. But please, if any updates to newsletter, emails, you'd like to share as well, please.
Sure. We're looking to get the next physical newsletter out by early May, which means it has to be finalized by early March. So sometimes that's a little difficult to do because there's, a lot goes on in the springtime, but we won't be able to capture that in this newsletter because we need to get it out a little bit earlier than we typically do.
Mhm.
Again, for the purpose of the May referendum. So if anyone has anything they'd like to see on that newsletter, I'm certainly open to hearing things because people tend to ask, where's the beef? And sometimes there's just not a lot of beef,
Mhm.
So always open to that. As for email updates, I'm sure you all hopefully saw the snow emergency declaration on Saturday. That was sent out on 5 different avenues: Facebook, Instagram, Constant Contact, Ready Montco, and the website. There were still cars on the roads, so the message does not get to everyone. But the Public Works Department and I have been discussing putting flyers on cars the night before that are parked in a street that shouldn't be parked in the street. So hopefully it just makes the message a little more clear because it really does help the Public Works crew do their work much more effectively and quickly.
It sounds like you're gonna get a chance to test that if you can be ready by Saturday, right?
Photocopier will be busy.
Yeah.
Can you clarify for me, so are the snow emergency routes I'm on Main Street, right? So, I know by definition it is a snow emergency route. Is signage posted in the places where people aren't supposed to park? Is kind of a general instruction?
I believe. And I'm not actually 100% sure myself, but I believe there is road signage on roads that need to be cleared for a snow event. At least that's what I have been told. But it seems like those signs don't do what they need to do. So hopefully a physical piece of paper to some people is going to do the trick. I believe that there's also a list of snow emergency routes on our website. However, we were looking to either expand the snow emergency list of roads to encapsulate repeat offenders, if you will, because cul-de-sacs aren't really a emergency route, but those are probably where the most issues occur, so they might be added to that list.
So there's actually two things going on, right? There's an emergency route, which is if you needed to get out, like we want to make sure that PennDOT and the local trucks are able to do what they want. And then it sounds like there's people that complain because their area doesn't get done because of people that are parked in it. And they're kind of like two different levels of.
That could be the case. It's honestly less the complaints from residents and more so. Well, no, you're probably accurate that the Public Works Department has a harder time maneuvering if there are 5 cars in a cul-de-sac.
Not to mention people, excuse me, Rob, but going in, emergency crew, gosh forbid, nobody needs an ambulance or whatnot. We want to make sure people can get in there.
So is there an opportunity to communicate with the residents ahead of the next official notice of a snow emergency to explain exactly that? I mean,
So in between this past weekend and this upcoming weekend, I got language tonight from Doug Jones, our Public Works Director, which he would like me to, 1, make a physical flyer, and 2, push out that information. So definitely something I'll be doing tomorrow in a more calm fashion instead of Saturday.
Right.
Put your car.
right,
Yeah.
So. Yes, and I just think that this past snow event made it really prevalent to us. That's what needs to be done. So
Yeah.
tomorrow for sure, some language will go out.
there's an opportunity.
Go.
This is one of those cases where we should consider the other channels. And just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like the 2 signs, the street signs
Yeah.
at both ends of the township. I mean, can we put something up there, right? Please don't park on the street, or whatever the language is, right? But use some of the other channels we have
Right.
to get that message out,
One,
so that when you actually send the emergency declaration, it has, more of an impact and an understanding. Sometimes people just don't understand.
one way we could help with that, even tonight, I'll put that down there. When we get to the new resident welcome letter, that's something to consider. If we see that they live in a snow emergency route, just to remind them in that letter as well.
Yeah.
So that's something easy to do, but.
Right.
I think what Grace John, you had some great points, and Grace, what you said, it would have been my suggestion, and that's good to hear that would go out. Even just a random, hey, do you realize what snow emergency means? I don't want to say it's a lazy thing or anything like that too, but I definitely remember even growing up here, I wasn't on a snow emergency, but always around the baseball fields, was always not as plowed as much and whatnot, and because there was cars everywhere, and I knew it was something that I had a lot of friends' parents used to complain and whatnot. So
It's an issue of space. Some areas don't have the ability to
Yeah.
park more than 2 cars in a driveway, but hey, if your ground is frozen, maybe you need to park in the grass, just for the time being.
are there any, and again, this is not really our thing, I guess, but are there any like the public parking, say down on Gruber Road? Is that plowed? And it doesn't usually get plowed in the wintertime, but is that something that could be plowed to encourage people to go in there? Is that something that we do?
Something that we discussed this morning, actually. So
Okay.
I'm not sure where that stands for this upcoming weekend, but it's certainly something that Doug is thinking about.
Yeah.
Maybe it's done this weekend, I'm not sure. But it will be posted if I am sure tomorrow.
Very good.
Mm.
Any other, go ahead, yeah, please.
Thomas, if there's a school closing on Monday, I mean, how do you find out about that? What's the communication channel that you use?
Sometimes my teachers will send like there's a app called Remind where they can like kind of send you like important information. Sometimes I'll get it on there, or sometimes my mom will just tell me.
Do you have any idea how she finds out?
I think she gets like a message on her phone, like a text or something.
There's a chain.
I get, as a parent, we get phone calls and then emails as well. So I'll literally hear, when I hear the house phone ring at 3 or 4 in the morning, that's when I know, okay, well, there's a delay or whatever time that goes through. That's what I think we discussed briefly last time, when Harry, we were talking about that. That's one way I found out, but yeah, it's interesting. Any other? And it's great, Grace, that we have all those things to utilize, Facebook, Instagram, contact, remind me, website.
The police put it on their site as well, their Facebook,
Very
because
good.
they have more traffic than we do.
And that goes, and then we could hope that, as we discussed last time, ways that people see that and share it in other groups and whatnot, that, that gets around too. All right. Any other comments on the newsletter, email updates? All right, moving on, website, social media. We kind of discussed a little bit just now of this, but is there anything else worth noting? Sounds like,
Say the township does have a good winter prep page.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty well maintained. I think it's evolved over even the time that I've been here. And just to reiterate, what I don't see there is what are the emergency roads? Like I was trying to understand the message a little bit better when I got them. And so I was trying to dig in and be like, oh, well, do I have to, should I worry about Covenant Lane? Probably not, but we have a cul-de-sac on the end. Is that a concern? And I wasn't able to get a good answer for myself, even when I wanted one. So it may be more about the emergency roads.
very good.
Likely this next announcement will be
Brace yourself.
everyone who's cars off. Because like I said, cul-de-sacs are not emergency routes, but they are repeat offenders, so.
And like we said, if somebody needs help inside there too, we want to get in. Very good. Anything else to add? Sounds like social media is being effectively used in the website. And I did notice the referendum right up on front and the nice link to the different things on that. I think that looks good. It's great to see. Any other comments? All right. Development open space awareness. We're kind of talking about that with the Allebach Farm preservation. So if it's okay if we move that down there to discuss more, but if anybody has anything to add now, please. But we can slide that down there too. General resident feedback themes. I think we were kind of exploring what I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but what the hot topic was, like what people are talking about at the moment. Is that the idea?
Yep.
Grace, is there constant any questions coming into the office right now that people are wondering, or anything you'd like to share with us, please?
I think that's standing out to me as a reoccurring theme. Likely a lot to do with people having the opinion that the Public Works Department is slow at plowing their roads. Which sometimes if you do live not near a state road, that you might be last. And I think people maybe don't understand that, but I live on a cul-de-sac and I always think it's done pretty effectively. But that could be people needing to get out of their house for whatever reason, so. But generally, we don't get a lot of complaints, so that's a good thing.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And
Are there any, in terms of, to that extent, sometimes it's a matter of setting people's expectations, right? Is there, and if you push out a pre-storm message, is there anything that you have or can get in terms of the number of total hours that it takes the township to clear, after a storm, the number of man hours that, go in, and some way of phrasing it so people remember that they can't be everywhere at once. And it takes whatever, 1,000 man hours, to clear a storm, right? And it's sometimes just, setting people's expectations can help.
That's a good point. And I'll run that by Doug Jones. As for last weekend, it never stops snowing. So-
Yeah.
That's a- John, that literally is what I wrote down right before you said, and I agree with you 100%. Just maybe, and I was thinking kind of to add to that, but please comment as well, as maybe like even before next year, just, hey, as we come into this, that's something that we could do. It's as we come in here, did you know this? And, Grace makes a good point. One thing I had a lot of, when I was in that capacity, people would say to me all the time, hey, how come they don't come by? They're not going to come by till it stops. There's no point doing it and having to do it again. That's a waste of money and time, and it's just a nuisance. So, and it would slow down more. So just little
Mhm.
like frequently asked questions, FAQ, I couldn't think,
Yeah,
but any
right.
kind of,
But
I
also,
was going to say FYI as well. So either one
Yeah.
of those.
as a thank you to the Public Works Department, you
Yeah.
could say they did a great job. They plowed for X number of hours, X number of miles, however they want to measure what
Mhm.
they've done.
Yeah. And they,
Don't feel like doing an Instagram story,
You know what, maybe.
get them in the high vis and just put the stats up there because people are watching that. And, if you're snowed in, that's all you're gonna be doing is flipping through your, your stories.
a good Instagram story simply would be driving, and it's so cliche, but I've said it before. People say it to me all the time, just driving into Lower Salford. And I'm not knocking the surrounding townships, but ours is better. There's no question. Our roads are better, and it is noticeable at this time of year. So that's, just say, here's Lower Salford. We got a great team, but that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
All right. And good thing that that's the general themes are mostly positive there. All right, moving on brings us to our unfinished business, which brings us to the Allebach Farm Preservation Planning. I have some notes on this I wanted to bring up as well. But for those who are watching this, or just to update you, we do know the township made the move to purchase more open space. And what we want to do is help promote the open space tax referendum on behalf of the township. So I did have some messages. I did talk with Mr. Canavan today as well, just to kind of see if he wanted to relay anything to this committee and what ways we can help. And what's happening is Citizens for Lower Salford is going to start to form, and he wanted to see, let me open up the right document as I speak. My apologies. Here we go. He wanted me to reach out and let you all know, to invite you all to the first organizational meeting, kind of get everybody's input, and then we can divide up some workload of how we want to do this. He's also going to contact the Park Board, the Planning Commission, the Rec Authority, and the Board of Supervisors. What he wants to do is check the availability. He's looking at the second week of February to hold this meeting in the evening, and he wants this committee to check your availability. And I guess it would be best maybe to just kind of respond in a team that CC's, Grace on there as well, just to make sure we can get it to him. But the purpose is for this committee, the purpose is to, as we said, we want to try to arrange a meeting, just kind of have something to promote the open space tax referendum. And by getting meeting together, it's something that, those volunteers can discuss the best ways that we can get it out there on behalf of each committee. So if anybody is free that week, definitely let us know. I do have some availability, and I'm going to check the rest of the dates just in case, but it would be great to have as many of us as possible. And if not, I'm sure we'll figure out what we can do, because this is something that we discussed before, that we want to move sooner than later as well.
Kevin, is this something that it should be, is it a public meeting, or are you trying to keep it small so you can delegate first?
I'm pretty sure this is I'm not sure, honestly. I'm pretty sure I did talk with Chris a little bit, but this is just pretty much to kind of see where we're going to start to make sure we have this. Clearly, it's all, public information, but it's saying, okay, what can this committee do? Okay, we want you to do this. We want you to do this. Just kind of see where we can divide the workload to get the message out there.
Perfect.
And again, the key objectives are essentially to gather input from all the parties, divide up the workload for promoting. So right now, we're going to secure a meeting location, see what the best available time is for the second week of February seems to be the best. And as I said, it's going to go to the board, the planning commission, the rec authority, the park board. So feel free to check that out and get back to us on that. And from there, again, just to kind of talk, I don't want to set anything, any bars here as we're going to come out of that meeting and maybe have different objectives, but you know, and I know I talked to Chris and the board as well as understanding that we're going to just do our best to help push the referendum that they're trying to promote as well. We're not going to tell people how to vote, but we're going to tell people the benefit that we feel, you know, that at least the township feels of voting yes to the referendum. Are there any questions on that as well? So in closing, we want to make sure everybody's availability by the second week of February. And if we could get that, Grace is okay if we get back to you. If we respond to Grace with our availability, and we'll find out when that meeting will be.
Will we keep this as a unfinished or continuing business?
I think it's
up until May.
good question. I think it's worthwhile definitely to keep it as unfinished business for next meeting so we can update, you know, anybody who's watching the meeting, and hopefully we'll have some kind of objective as to our role and what the township wants us to do to help get the message.
And any new business can be more specific than the
Yeah.
general. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking as well. Any other questions or comments on this? Okay. Moving on, more unfinished business. We have new resident welcome letter. I did go through some of my old stuff and found some copies of our old one. We did have some discussion last time. I also found, I think this was the leads that you used here too, John. Leads, please. But what we want to do is we want to make sure we talked about last time as well to finalize this new resident welcome letter. Make sure we discuss when we're going to get it out, who we're going to get it out to, and have a plan intact so we can do this now as well as in the future here.
I think one of the specific items was to make sure that the chairman was identified and either continues with the letter as written or a new signature.
Yeah, I think that is something that we should pass on to our new chairman, or it is the same chairman,
Same
but
chairman.
he did give us, and as long as he's okay with that, I'm okay reaching out to Chairman Bergman, or, you know, if you want to do that too, Grace, but I really don't mind just resharing the same email that we had last time of, is this okay? But for everybody's own sake, this is a copy of it that we had. I have a cleaner digital copy. It has our QR codes on the bottom for, sorry for looking over, but our township website, constant contact email, resident request portal. They were the three that we had at the time. I know we talked about having a new resident landing page, which might summarize all three of them. Is that something else that was my comment I wanted to add to that? If we wanted to have them go to a new resident landing page or keep all three up there.
Isn't that the one that has the picture of the quilt on it?
Mhm. Yeah,
Does that page exist?
Yes,
It wouldn't be a
yes, it
new
does.
creation. Okay.
But I
I
meant
think
like
what
the
you're
new
saying
resident
is-
for,
yeah.
this is going to new residents. So I meant like in one quote, but yes, not the new page.
Got it. Understood.
I think we should include that in, that there is a page for new residents.
I think so as well. This is what we previously had. Sorry, to make copies here.
I think I
I think I had some rough copies of it as well. These are the rough ones we had. They're the same thing, but just without the QR codes.
So is a suggestion to add the QR code / link, whatever, to the now new resident page? Right? Or is the suggestion about changing the whole letter to just kind of focus on that? It is, you know, to simply direct new residents to that new residents page and take off potentially all three of what we highlight here.
I liked having them up there. And my comment was if those links are directly on that page, and if they're not, is that something we want to do? for the reason I like seeing text message alerts, because it gives somebody a reason to go there. You know, you're reading this and, oh, look at this QR code. Yeah, I'll check it out later. It might never get to. But if I remember seeing, wait a minute, something about a text message and whatever it was that we did, and I believe you were here too, John, we figured that these were the most relevant things that people would want to see. So I do like having them on there. And I guess what I was saying is on the bottom, instead of having 3 different QR codes, which we could do, still, we could have just one that says, you know, for new residents and to find all these features, go here.
So call to action.
Yeah, just, it was just, you know, but that would be the only suggestion I had for that. Again, I'm open to any other suggestion. I like it the way it is too.
So I agree with that suggestion. So I wanted to clarify. So
No worries.
generally speaking, what we're saying is that the letter stays the same, except for the 3 QR codes become one, right?
It might be an easier way for them to see it. Right. That would be one thing I just wanted to discuss. So you said you do appreciate, you would rather see it that way too, Rob? You think that'd be easier, harder?
I think, and I bring this up every time we talk about a QR code, is to make sure, because I know that Constant Contact, for whatever reason, every time it gets posted somewhere, 6 months later, it's a different one. And so the old ones don't work anymore. And so what I want to do is, you know, somebody in 6 months pulls that out and it's still that page. If there's a specific one that they go to that continues to exist or has some way of saying, oops, it's gone now, but you can go here, like just something that it's under our control.
So which one would that be then?
So a single QR
Yeah,
code, but the
right.
QR code is
Then we can-
direct to.
Yeah, emphasizing that, like,
Yeah,
we want to keep it around that
Right.
particular, if it's not the root page of Lower South, right, lowersalfordtownship.org, then it's at least something that will always be there under some specific URL that matches that QR
Mhm.
code.
Mhm, I agree. Should we also put something about social media? And how to access that for younger generation that are moving in?
that's a good point. And something, as you say that, I know for my business, things that just get people. And Tom, just please feel free. Do you prefer Thomas or Tom?
I don't care.
I'll go, we said Thomas, I'll go with that for now. I don't want to put you on the spot. Thomas, if for me, like I know with my business, they see the Facebook logo or an Instagram logo, they'll go, ooh, let me check that out then. So let me ask your opinion. If you have this letter, you receive something like that and you just see that says, click here for, you know, we'll have those 3 things on that one thing with new resident page. If it simply had a Facebook logo or Instagram logo, would that bring you to it and assume that you can find the link to follow them? Or what would drive you to that even?
I think having the logos would help. Let
Right.
people know that there's like a social media page. And they would just look up Lower Salford Township on there.
And I guess what I'm saying for everybody else too is rather than crowd it with extra, go to this link, go to that link. You just see the image. Oh, there's a Facebook logo, there's an Instagram logo, and it's right next to the QR code. And then on that.
But I thought we said we were going to one QR code, right? The whole.
Yes.
It's just talking about
Yes.
putting
But
some
yeah,
little
just-
And that's-
animations around it.
Right.
And that's what I mean. So just maybe say,
Throw
you
the
know,
eye in.
right, go to this QR code to find all this information as well as to follow us on social media. Even
Yeah.
just saying that. And then on that page, we would have a link to our Facebook website or the police's website as well.
Thomas, do you find yourself scanning QR codes regularly for school or just finding things?
Not really, but I feel like I could, if like, this is for people that are new, right?
Mhm.
So if I was new and I saw this newsletter and like I saw that there's like a social media, I might just search it up on there or scan the QR code. I think it would be really helpful. Like if you're new.
So it would be worth putting Facebook and then whatever the Facebook thing, like literally on there, just say Facebook, Lower Salford Township, whatever its at thing is on
Yeah.
there? Or would it be better to just have that on a website? Would it still bring you to it? Because you said you would just search it. So if you would
Yeah.
search it, that's even better.
And it would be nice, like if you could scan the QR code and then it could bring you to like all the links. I think like having the social media as one of the links would be good. But yeah, I think
Which is what we do. I mean, the new resident page is
We'll
is
make sure
all
it
the
has,
links.
yeah, so we'll make sure that it has.
It's a page that was defined as kind of an index of things specifically of interest to new residents. So
Okay.
if we get you there, then
Yeah.
hopefully you'll find, a link there
Yeah.
that is what you're looking for.
We
Yeah.
kind of went on to kind of come down to the most simplest way that I thought of as well, or we can think as we're discussing it. Would it just be easier to say, follow us to find, or, come to this QR code and social media, check it out, something like that? Would that get at you as well, or would it be more, you have to see,
Social media.
you have to see the logo? What do you think is more appealing? Yeah,
I think if either one would work, like if you
Perfect.
just said follow us on social media.
That would do it.
Or if you had the logos, that would also work, I think. I don't really prefer one over the other.
okay.
Both work.
So I think it's
Okay, so,
worthwhile.
so we're still talking about a single QR code
Mhm.
that takes them to the new resident page.
Which we could design
And then,
anyway.
and then the rest is just visual stuff on the
Right.
newsletter, right? Whether it's
But it might be worth,
logos, right? Facebook logos or X logos or whatever, right?
or would it be worth just, but just the wording itself, social media? We want to just add, follow us on social media as well. Just something like that to add into this or right before the QR code. Find all these and learn how to follow us on social media by going to this website.
I think you're gonna find people, and I'll use this as an illustration. I think you're gonna find that they're gonna look here. And they're gonna look here,
Yeah.
pictured here, and anything in the middle, you're gonna get 5 or 10% of the people that read through the whole thing, but it's gonna be like, am I gonna take action on this letter? Here's the action that I'm gonna take. And if that action is scan or punch something in the web browser, they're gonna do it. And you gotta have the middle, right? You get to
Yeah.
put all that stuff and let people know that it's an important piece of mail. But yeah, if you got this saying, welcome to the neighborhood, this is everything you need to get started is at the end of this note, signed Keith Urban. And then here's your QR codes and some icons. I think you're gonna get a good response rate. And
Yeah.
it's trackable
No, yeah.
if we want to.
So would you be suggesting then, that's what I was thinking, just like
Mhm.
a Facebook logo down here where people see it and know we have it, or not even need
I'm
that?
not a designer, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sure
Okay.
if we, somebody put some drafts out, we
Mm-hmm.
could find something that looked good.
So not to get too carried away, and as you know, and this stuff is all very helpful, but to summarize it, we want to make sure we go to just one QR code, which takes us to the new resident page. And we want to add social media on there by wording it saying, follow us on social media. Just something to cue people to know that that'll also take you there.
Yeah.
Okay. Timing as well. So again, and again, please continue to contribute with this welcome letter. And we also want to confirm with Mr. Chairman Bergman that he's okay with what we have in the wording, or if he would like to update that as well.
So we keep getting delayed here.
Right, and that's what I want to get to.
Yeah.
Where's our timing?
Right.
So we'll have that
I-
next
I
meeting.
thought at this meeting, we were gonna be at the point of having a new list, right?
Mhm.
And getting out and do we get something out with the letter that just repeat the process, right? Right, or are we gonna get into changing the letter, getting it approved, getting this stuff? I mean, we did it once.
Right,
The letter was approved. I mean, I'm assuming it's still approved. It's still the same person, right?
John, I'm with you.
I'm kind of with you.
Just
too.
do it.
As long as there's no back.
Every month
Yeah.
we talk about it, right? I'm not saying that going forward, we can't revise the letter for the drop in 6 months.
Right. No, I'm with you there, John. I want to get it out as soon as possible as well. And I think that being said, if we don't, is this something that you can just, hey, we're going to send this if there's any
Just
other comments, let us
just
know.
repeat the process. Run the list, take the letter, do it.
So then the question is when, and that's what I was going to say, when, I know we talked about it last time, when were the dates that we decided on everyone would want to go with? I wrote it down and it's in the minutes as well, which I appreciate. Here we go.
3 times per year.
3 times.
To avoid coincidence with May and December where the newsletter goes out.
So 3 times a year and not in May and December, correct?
Mhm.
So do we discuss exactly when we would want to do that? And because I'm with you there, as long as we're ready to go, everything looks good. we make sure we have a good date and go from there. What would be,
So Grace, have you done anything in terms of pulling a new list together?
Yeah, I did delegate that to someone who could help me. They said it was definitely possible, and that's not going to take a very long time, but my question then to you would be, if I made those changes at the bottom with the QR code and the social media that we just discussed, and by the time we met again in February, I said, we've sent them out, is that okay? To get
Yeah.
the ball rolling. And
Yeah,
I'm, of
and-
course, emailing you.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
As long, and I would say that if changing the letter at all, because we have an approved letter,
Mhm.
right? If changing it at all slows the process down,
don't change.
then just use the same letter as before.
I'm with you there.
If you can change the letter and still get it out, right?
And my QR idea was just, and you summed it up again, but I remember you were saying it was important to have one. That was my only QR idea, but I'm with you there. If it's ready to go, I say we go. Another thing I wanted to bring up then too, based upon what we said about those other things to not hit the newsletter. February seems like an ideal month because then we'd have March, April, May, June, July, August, October.
Right.
And then that, that would probably be the furthest from where we are. If we do it now, you're going to be hitting December and all again, and it just wouldn't be as close. But that would be good timing, I think, as well as we can get everything confirmed. Our next meeting, now then the question would be, would it be worth confirming everything at our next meeting or getting it rolling before then? 'Cause
Confirming what?
looking at it, okay, we're ready to go, or I get it out before
Confirming what?
that we're all set to go. Were we going to compare the addresses as well?
Well, it depends on what your delegee. Would you expect this person to do that whole process that was outlined, right? Or whether,
I was, Paul was helping me, and since she's familiar with the process, and I have not been involved in it yet, I would turn to her for any questions, but if you would like to see the ad, are you speaking of like the physical addresses of where it's being sent?
No, I think last time, and John, you were more familiar with this, well, we had compared them to a list that we had from the township as well as the leads to make sure we didn't have repeats and, so we wouldn't waste any. And we said we could go through that here to just kind of, as John was saying, to offset any extra work you would have to do unless that's something that, let us know if that's something that needs to be done or if that's something that can be done. Is that what you're asking, John, essentially?
yes, exactly. So if you and Holly or whoever is going to go through that whole process, pull the list, get rid of some of that stuff that we knew we needed to get rid of, right? Check for duplicates. If you're going to handle that whole thing, then just do it.
Mhm.
And as I said, if you can get the letter adjusted and everybody's good with that and still get it out in February, great. Otherwise, just use the same letter that was already approved
Yeah.
and get it out. If, as Kevin said, right, if you need our eyes, right, to look at that list, if you want this group to go through that exercise of helping to, okay, right, here's duplicate addresses or things like that, right? Then maybe we have
Do it
to
next week.
change the schedule slightly and say, okay, you'll get the list, prepare for our next meeting in February. We'll do the physical review and list cleanup here, right? And then drop it.
And even so, John, we, if that is the case, and I agree with you, we might still be able to get it out in February. It might not be. I'm checking right now what the third one said, that'd be the 18th. So it was really 1 week after that because it's short. So ideally it would be before. But if you do need our help, we can help you so we can still try to get it
So I
out.
think it depends on what you and your team is gonna do in terms of the process, whether it's start to finish, you've got an approved letter, build the list, get it out, right? Or, we need to, a step in that process for this group to help.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll ask Holly tomorrow what kind of time she has, but I'll ask you guys as well, when we went through this before. Was it a long process that you guys needed to weed out?
No, it was, I think we did it here in a
Yeah.
matter of minutes. Just,
Yeah.
we each took a page.
No, I-
And And please, we appreciate all you do, and just a background from this, and please contribute as well, is we had the idea, we get these resident welcome letters out. It's not something the township did. We knew that would be workload. So we even said we'd fold them up, we'll do this. And I think Holly said, oh, no, we'll have time to do that. And that's what we want to make sure, as long as you guys are still okay doing it, then please, that's great. But we're willing to help to get it out there as well.
Well, I'll update you guys tomorrow. I'll talk to Holly tomorrow, and I see no reason that it can't go out. by
That'd be
next
great.
week.
Excellent. John, thanks for
Yeah.
emphasizing that as well.
At the risk of opening up one more can of worms,
No, no.
how far back because I don't think we talked about it. How
Great
far
question.
back are we gonna look
Well-
for this first? Obviously, the one that goes out mid-year is gonna look back to February, but
Yeah.
what's this February one gonna look back to? 6 months?
Do we want to do, well, typically it's going to be 4 months then, but do
Right.
we want to, yeah, that's a good point. Do we extend it to 6 months to hit anybody else? Or maybe we should just keep it so we have that right rhythm. Might be,
Or at this point, again,
I'm
the
good
whole
with
concept
months.
was to get people before they start to get other township communications.
I'm
So
good with-
if the people who were new residents 6 months ago have now gotten
Likely.
a newsletter
Yeah.
or gotten other communications, then
yeah, I said keep it with,
then it's not the target audience anymore, right? So.
Yeah.
And if that's it, then I would still use that 3 month window.
4 months.
4 months.
So
Yeah.
November.
I agree
November,
with that.
December, January.
I hate to
February.
say there's like always a line, but there will be a line that we have to have, that we would stop there. And I think that if we keep it the way it is, no one can question that, and it's effective as well. It also allows us to see how many we have and gives us an idea of the amount of workload or time it would take to do such a effort as well. So we'll go 4 months then.
Oh my God.
If you have any questions with that, let us know via email as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
good. Any other comments on that? Very good. Which moves us on to new business. One thing I wanted to share is I told everybody I knew I had some hard copies of the survey results, and I did find them. But these are some of the things that just the questions that we did. If anybody doesn't know, we can go over them. And I did find a digital copy that I can get to everybody as well as John put together a nice, if you remember, the survey comments analysis as well. So this is something I know we usually tend to just go about an hour here, but we did talk about surveys, and I just want to pass them around, share them, and I think it's worth, you guys are welcome to look at now. I'll be happy to read just really quickly what we did. The survey questions were, how do we typically get information about the township? I don't have the date that we did this. I thought I wrote that down. My apologies. But how do we get the information at township? We want people to check all that apply, the website, constant contact, printed newsletter, township, calling the township, social media, word of mouth. And then select your top 3 preferences for obtaining information about the township. And we listed up to 13 different things. And the consensus back that we got was the email, constant contact. It's like the newsletter, the website, word of mouth, social media, calling the township office. But a lot of people, and what this led to, our text message. A lot of people wanted text messages to receive text message results. I have all the detailed ones here too. So I just thought I'd share that with the group. Something to consider if we want to look in the new surveys. Terry, you mentioned updating it. I think it's absolutely
Yeah,
worthwhile.
me too.
I
Yeah.
apologize. I wrote the date down physically. I must have printed 2 of these, but this was it was a great thing to see. I really feel free to pass these around if you like.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, and I'll make sure I'll give it to everybody as well. But that's just something I wanted to bring up for our new business here. Yeah. Anything else? And I think that's worth maybe kind of taking a look at. I'll send them to everybody and exploring down the
Right.
way. Well, we can
Yeah.
talk about how we want to do that if we want to have more surveys as well.
yeah.
But that's just one thing I wanted to share with everybody, because it's been a while.
Right, because running into somebody at the Harleysville market isn't.
Is not
anywhere
on there.
Right.
Probably have a
Right.
pretty good showing at this point.
Yeah, there's been a lot of information that's gone around that way. And I mean, I had to say, it seems really since we've done that, I can see a lot more involvement in the township in many capacities, not just at this meeting, but other meetings as well. And I think it's great work, and it's a testament to everybody here and everybody in the past who's helped with that as well. That's all I had for the new business. I just wanted to share that idea. I think it's worth taking a look at again, and I'll send them around to everybody as well. Anything else anybody would like to add to that?
We did have an applicant for the committee who I
Yes,
was going to try to be here this evening
Stacy.
and is not. I don't know if we want to just
Yes.
defer any action
I-
on that to the next subsequent meeting.
well, I think it's worth noting, and I think would, and Grace, please correct me if I'm wrong, but somebody did express interest to be an associate member. First of all, I don't know if she was able to attend tonight, but we do have a new associate member, so we want to congratulate Jess, and we'll do that formally when she's here as well. Thomas, we had a lot of interest in this committee, so we opted, obviously having you here has given us a lot of insight and a lot of different ideas, and that's really where we thrive in this. So having an associate member would be somebody who could sit at the table, participate, not have an official vote, but still be an acting participant. And we do have another recommendation. Rob, for me personally, I think, and I know I mentioned this to you casually, Terry, anybody who wants to be involved, I'm thrilled with. And I yield that, as you were saying, I thought you were going to say this too, but I yield it to the board. I mean, if the board says it's okay, that's not a problem with me. I did look at this. We don't have people to choose from, so it's not like anything to do. But again, I'm thrilled if anybody wants to participate, but I will mention that her credentials were really, really good and would be serve our group a lot of do our group a lot of good service as well. So I think that having a strong background with communications will even just be better. It's the icing on the cake.
Mhm.
That's my take on it. If anybody else has anything they'd like to share.
I think my sentiment would
Please.
be, I agree with you.
Mhm.
And I would say, given that this person would be a non-voting associate member anyway, there's no harm in at least putting that to the next month to meet them in person.
Yeah.
Potentially here, preferably here.
Right.
And if that doesn't, I'm fine either way. That's just
I see what
where
you're
my
saying.
gut-
So are you
my gut
saying that
feeling.
you would feel more comfortable after having them here once? before-
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
That's something that we could push to the board as well, everybody. And it wouldn't, you're right, it wouldn't make a difference in that aspect.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts on that? I'd be okay either way, I think personally, but if the group wants to have that first, that's totally fine as well.
And it's also a two-way street, so she can see how we operate as well.
No, I think we can do that then. So I guess our and if there's no, again, I'm okay either way here, but as long as that seems to be a consensus, we'll make sure, Grace, as long as there's no problem, we can just recommend to the board that, she comes to a meeting and we hope that we would recommend that.
And virtually, right? Not even
Mm.
not even in person
Yeah.
necessarily, because we are flexible.
Yes,
She did say that she'll be at next.
very
Okay,
good,
good.
very good.
Good.
Excellent. And Harry reached out to us and was unable to attend tonight's meeting as well. So we look forward to seeing him at our next meeting too. Very good. Great insights. Are there any other comments or
I have two things.
please?
One is that I think, Grace, you are gonna potentially talk to the board about the YouTube simulcast as a possibility. So we don't have to take any action on that. I just wanted to put in the record that we did find a way that you can take the Zoom feed and it goes to a YouTube live. So if that works out and the supervisors are amenable to it, there may be a way to direct people just to the YouTube if there's not a need to participate and make things a little bit more accessible, rather than having to install Zoom and log in. Anybody with a web browser would potentially be able to do that.
That's, if I may add one more comment, if it's worth it, if it does get mentioned to the board, just personally, you kind of touched it, Rob, but yeah, a lot of people, I know a lot of, I don't want to just generalize elderly people, but I know a lot of people use church services through YouTube and stuff like that. And just from a township's perspective, if the township chooses, you can absolutely have no comments and stuff like that as well. So it can just essentially be a TV. And most people can get it via their TVs as well. And you don't need to sign up. I just wanted to add to that. That's a great point. Please continue.
So that's just to put that there. We don't need to take any action on that. The second thing is to make things a little bit easier on Grace when it comes time to do the report back to the supervisors. Now that you're no longer sitting in a chair there, do we want to prepare something in advance, either tonight, we don't have to, or going forward to say, this is the summary of what we've covered and what we want to bring forward collectively, or Grace, you do a good job of summarizing the things that happen here and what's important. So we don't necessarily have to make that a formal process. We can just trust that you're going to communicate what we've been discussing and what we're trying to put forward. That's up to everybody to think about for a little bit.
To add to that too, at the same time, we don't want to give you a homework assignment. So, it's not, I 100% look at it that way. Like, oh, great. Now what do I say? No
We'll
problem.
give you an index card, then
Yeah.
that's one less thing you have to worry about.
Great point. And I know we have some frequent visitors, other frequent visitors of the meeting, Rob. And if you're ever here as well, I would have no objection to you even speaking as the liaison at that moment. As he knows, when we have to communicate, hey, on behalf of the communication committee, here's a quick update, if that's okay with the committee as well, or if anybody else was there to kind of give a brief. But I do like the update of, and again, I mean, for me, I would just say everything that we just did, which is, to summarize, I think the big emphasis might be, just kind of we working on that. We're looking forward to getting that new resident welcome letter out is the big thing that I would emphasize. But any other thoughts on this? I'm kind of getting redundant here.
So do we want to make it a part of each meeting's minutes?
Great point.
To conclude with the 2 or 3 bullet points that we want to make sure the board is aware of, so that whether it's Grace or anyone else,
Yes.
it's essentially, hey, board, this month or this in the past meeting, the township or the communication committee talked about the upcoming role in the open space effort and the republishing of the the new resident letter, or the redropping of a new resident letter as was done X time, and make sure that, we agree with that wording, right? I mean, and I envision it as just no more than, a sentence or so, but it encapsulates what we agree, right? We want the board to know. Now, if they need more information, more details or whatever, that's
Right.
That's something else. But at least on a monthly basis, we're saying, here's what we as a committee agree is the message to the board. We did this, we're doing this, we're planning this.
I think it's important to do that for several reasons. One, that we're all on the same page, which I think is pretty, we're just given the 10 points, but it's also would make it easier on Grace, I think, or whoever is doing that as well.
Mhm.
And I think you summed it up perfectly. I think they're the 2 key points I would like to emphasize, perhaps. If anybody has anything else to add, maybe say we're also going to look into reusing our survey, and something along those lines would be the 3 things I would say, 1, 2, 3. Rob, it's a great point to bring up, though. Thank you for that.
And if everybody's comfortable with it, we can either do it here as we just did,
Yeah.
or just, once I finish with minutes, just do that as a separate email. And if anybody has any strong objections to it, then we hash it out. But I don't think that there would be any conflict there.
I say if we could do it at the meeting, just, you can't foresee what could happen, with you and whatnot. And I'm not saying that. I just wouldn't want to put on extra pressure. Oh, I got to get out this time so we can discuss this before that. So I say that took no time to point out those 3 bullet points. And if anybody would like to add one or take one away, please, they work for me. Maybe say we're glad to have a junior supervisor present too. That's 4 with me. That's a complete summary of our meeting.
Thomas, do you plan on continuing to attend? Was this a one-off event for you to see how we operate, or do you plan on attending future ones?
No pressure.
Probably won't be to like every meeting for communications, but I'll try to go to at least one more before the end of the school year.
You can always attend virtually as well.
Yeah.
Easier too. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate your presence and your insights. Very good. All right. Any other comments or questions or?
I move to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Grace, thank you, and thank you.